I just finished installing a pocket door in this wall cavity here, and now I've got to patch this hole. If you didn't catch the first video, I used this hole here to fasten the track to the framing that's in there, and now I just got to patch this up. This is not a normal wall. This wall is over an inch thick. We have a 1/2 inch of old school drywall and then over a 1/2 inch of plaster. So what I got to do is get some backer boards in here. Then on top of the backer boards, I'm gonna put some more boards so that I can put a 1/2 inch sheet of drywall that comes up flush to here. But step one is gluing in the backer boards. The reason I can't screw them on like you would with drywall is when you put a screw anywhere close to an edge like this is all masonry here. And if you try to put a screw in there, it'll just blow this out. It's not like drywall. This is basically like concrete, very brittle concrete. There's a view of the other side. There's the track up in there. Hey guys, just wanted to jump in real quick while I'm doing work. There is a business video that goes along with this video that is live right now. So once you're done watching this, you can hop over there and get an idea of what it takes to run a business based off of just wall repairs. Just wall repairs. The Wall Doctor. The video you're watching right now is a pretty thorough step-by-step instructional video on how to do a wall repair. There's a couple mistakes, very common mistakes, so I don't even consider them mistakes. It's just stuff to expect when you're doing a wall repair. I'll leave a link to the business video in the description and in the first pinned comment. Let me know down there in the comments what you think of this repair. How would you have done it? And how much would you have charged? All right, this is gonna cure for 24 hours. And then I can screw another board to this to fur it out, and then I can screw the drywall to that. There's a couple other tricks that you've never heard of. So these backing boards are all set up, glued to the back side of the plaster board. Now I have to figure out how much this needs to get furred out for the drywall. I want to err on the side of this being shallow, because you can always fill and sand that. If it sticks out proud of this, there's a hump that you can't get rid of. Let's put a straight edge up here and take the shallowest reading.
We're going to take a reading off the tape measure here.
It looks about a half, a little over a half. So 7/16 is what it has to be. So we're going to come up with some furring strips that are 7/16 inch. And I will screw those. I could glue them, but I don't want this to take any longer than necessary. I don't want any of my screws to go through and possibly scratch this door in here. Perfect. Perfection. Perfection. That happened. Oh. Just popped right off. Very interesting. The glue held. And it ripped the substrate off the back of this place. So here's something that you can run into. You got to put a decent amount of pressure to dimple that paper. In this case, the wood backing is glued to the back of this old plaster board. And in other cases, if this was actual drywall, I would have screwed here and here to that board through the drywall. And you can only put so much inward pressure before that glue can pop or these screws can rip out. I've had that happen many times where I'm trying to get these to dimple enough to fill with joint compound and pop these screws right straight through the drywall. And that is a bummer. There's another little tip. I'm going to screw this screw in till I feel it hit the wood, and then I'm going to reverse it so it kind of self drills it out. Another problem you have if you don't do that is the threads are bit into this gypsum board here, and what'll happen is it'll pull the whole board away and pry it away and have your screws pop loose. Till it bottoms out, it's already starting to pry it out. Hit it in reverse. Now we go forward and hope the glue doesn't pop. There we go. This impact is also really banging on that glue joint, and if this was drywall, there would be a screw here. It would be really putting a lot of pressure on there. That's why I try to use a screwdriver so I'm not having that impact. Here's another tip. Make sure those screws are going straight in. This one is at a very slight angle, and that means I've got to screw it in extra further so the top point of this screw is dented into the drywall. I did go grab this screwdriver. This screwdriver is hardly ever used. It's basically brand new, and there's nothing that's rounded off on the edges, so it's going to lock in to that Phillips head better. Oh yeah. Man, that is a big difference of a brand new screwdriver versus one that you use all the time. So I can turn this without hardly any inward pressure. I'm actually going to go hit these ones up. Might be time for me to get different bits in my screw gun. So much better. I really need to update my screwdrivers. You notice how I have this beveled? If this was regular drywall, I might bevel this out too. And it's not regular drywall, it's plaster. And it makes a massive mess. Ideally, I would bevel this side too, go over this gap with a setting compound. Then I'm going to do the fiber foos and then more setting compound. This one's a little bit heavier of a gap. What happened is something shifted with the screw when I was putting this in, and the whole piece slid over. No big deal though. Baboos. This red grass. Pretty thin, almost thin as paper, so that you don't have a hump. That's something down there. Right fast, kind of fast. This is an issue, can't even start that way. I mix this hot mud a little thick for my packing. So this is not going to be the final coat. There will be a much smoother coat over this. So a lot of times, less is more. Out of my hundreds, if not thousands, of drywall repairs, get it good and then go. You can always sand it out. You can mess with it too much, trying to get it super perfect, and you just end up making it look worse. I know when to call it quits. This is real smooth. Okay, the first coat's fully cured, but we've got some issues. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Probably can't hear it. I'm not going to get my microphone. We have a little bit of a hollow point underneath the fiber foos right here. It's so minor. There it is, right there. So I'm just going to cut that out. It's very similar to having a bubble under paper tape. But not too bad. But once that gets re-wet, the next coat, or paint, we can delayer. That's it. There it is. Oh, it's close enough. Watch out, this right out. Let's start stuff. We need more party loose. So I'm going to over here. More. More. So right now, this repair is ready for texture. If you had orange peel, if you had knockdown, if you had a skip trowel, especially if you had a skip trowel. 100% ready for texture. This is a smooth wall, so we're going over it another time. If this was in like a living room or a kitchen and there was a lot of downlighting, I'd probably go with the topping compound. It's much smoother, goes on easy, but I'm gonna do setting compound again with a wider knife, and I'll be going like that. Couple passes, and then it's done. It'll be a sand, prime, and paint. See? I'm going against my own rules here. Keep it. Ooh, that might have been worth it. All right, it was worth it. Now, so maybe concerned that I got a little bit on the trim. Could have taped that off. This stuff's water soluble. It'll wipe right off. Clean as a whistle. Now this door probably should be caulked in when it gets painted. That's one of the better ones I've done. I don't want anybody thinking I'm better than I actually am. And so you see this little line there? That'll sand out, or I could just scrape that off. Up here I've got a couple little squiggle squabbles that'll wipe off, sand off. They come off real easy. 90% of that is actually ready for paint. I don't know if you can see the stipple that's already on here. There you go. I'm gonna use a heavy nap roller. I won't be painting the whole wall. I'm just primering this repair, and they can paint it whenever they want. So there were 2 other clips to this video, and they vanished. Don't worry, you didn't miss out on much. I used this old beat up sanding block that is a fine grit because it's so dang old. Go over it. Rolled on some of my tinted primer. A couple videos back I did another drywall repair, and I showed you how I mixed some primer and some paint together. You always have to primer your repairs. If you just go over it with paint, the area that's been repaired will flash. It'll stick out like a sore thumb. It's going to suck in that paint, and it's going to be a different sheen. That's called flashing. The areas around it have been painted 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. They're not going to suck in the paint. Your repair is porous. It's made up of joint compound, easy sand joint compound. This is 20-minute mud. It's supposed to give you 20 minutes of working time. Here's the Fiberfuse or Fiberfuse. I'll leave a link in the description where I ordered these. I think you can find them at some Lowe's. It's nice and thin, strong, prevents the cracks. Fiberglass. You ladies might want to wear some gloves when you handle this. Here's a pan. 6-inch knife and a 12-inch knife. If you can swing it, get the stainless steel ones, because else it'll start rusting. No big deal though. Wipe it on your pants and keep on moving. If you got questions, put them down below. Remember, there's a full business video on how to turn these tools and these supplies into a business. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.